Amin. You have to speak when you're
This
spoken
is why you're not
to.
on HQ, Amin.
This is why. This is why.
There it is. Catwoman, this week.
Flip the script.
Thank you for listening to the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio. You're welcome.
Sugats here. Dell supports America's entrepreneurs during Small Business Month with all you need to office anywhere. Save up to 45% on computers and servers with Intel Core processors. Upgrade to new modern devices with Windows 10 Plus. Save on top brand tech while enjoying free shipping on everything and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call 877-ASK-DELL to talk to a Dell Technologies advisor. That's 877-ASK-DELL or visit Dell.com/smallbusinessdeals.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Oil change coming up? We can help you out. Right now, you can get 5 quarts of Pennzoil High Mileage Motor Oil and an STP oil filter for just $27.99. And if you need it fast, we can help you get it fast. Whether it's at home with our next day delivery or in-store and curbside with our free same-day pickup. The choice is yours. Getting the job done just got easier. Restrictions and details at AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
For your Gulf Coast Sports Minute, I'm JP. The Ice Flyers are going to be back, but you may have to wait until December. The SPHL owners weighed a variety of options for weeks before deciding a 2-month delay was the most viable option for now. Owner Greg Harris said it wasn't an easy decision, but a responsible one for the time we are in. In our recruiting spotlight this week, Deshaun Folsom. Although Folsom is already enrolled at Hutchinson Community College, one of the best JUCOs around, his story is what is so awesome. The Escambia graduate hasn't played in the game since 2018, yet he is looked upon as one of the hottest recruits in the country. It's been a crazy ride. I didn't get my high school diploma, so instead of going to college right away, I stayed home, got 2 jobs, and also worked to get my GED, Folsom said. It was a struggle. Every day I was wishing I had paid attention to what my teachers had told me in high school. After a 7-month journey to get his GED, he hopped on a bus to Kansas to begin his JUCO career. For Folsom, the size and athleticism is scary at 6'2", 285. Deshaun has since picked up offers from New Mexico, Ohio, and South Alabama. Deshaun, keep up the hard work. We're rooting for you. That's your Gulf Coast Sports Minute. I'm JP.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
America's wounded warriors are coming home. After serving on foreign shores, these brave men and women are returning to their families and communities. Many have wounds you can see, and many have wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Now that these warriors are back home, they are ready to enter the civilian workforce. To help, Wounded Warrior Project has developed the Warriors to Work program, a career counseling service that helps warriors translate their military experience to the civilian workplace. These extraordinary men and women bring proven world-class job skills and a unique perspective on teamwork to the job. And to ensure the right warrior finds the right job, Wounded Warrior Project works with employers to find just the right match. When you hire a wounded warrior, you hire an intelligent, talented, and committed new employee. Contact Wounded Warrior Project at findwwp.org. Welcome home the brave.
Sylvan success story number 4,092.
In 5th grade, we started noticing some problems, and it really changed our world. Sylvan gives parents like me hope. She's done a complete 180, and she's getting all A's and B's on her own. There's no more fighting about homework. I know that it's gonna get turned in, and I know that she's gonna rock it.
Start your own Sylvan success story. Call 1-800-EDUCATE or visit sylvanlearning.com.
JP here. At ESPN Pensacola, we are hometown proud. We love our hometown heroes like Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawk Doug Baldwin.
They fake, the lob, wide open, touchdown, Doug Baldwin.
Bigger body than Wilson likes to throw to, big target. Here's Baldwin, smaller target, and he ducks in for the touchdown.
Hi, this is Doug Baldwin, and you're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
JP here. At ESPN Pensacola, we are hometown proud. Like the greatest pound-for-pound boxer of all time, Roy Jones Jr.
3-time light heavyweight world champion and former heavyweight champion of the world, future Hall of Fame legend, Roy Jones Jr.
What up? It's your boy Roy Jones Jr. and you're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gullick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, sports call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
The following has been produced by Talk Football LLC. Former Florida Gators quarterback, NFL quarterback, and NFL head coach. Coach K. Stevenson has a resume second to none, and now he's sharing his insider information with you. Talk Football with Coach K starts right now on ESPN Pensacola.
Welcome into Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach K. Stevenson on this Friday afternoon. Appreciate you joining the show with us. Weekend's right around the corner. Looks like it's going to be a hot weekend, but nonetheless some good weather, good beach weather as well, whether you go out and fish, go hang out with the family. Of course, social distancing, just throwing that out there. You got to throw that out there nowadays. Hopefully you're doing well today. Hopefully everybody's staying safe in these times. I know we're starting to get through this a little bit. One day at a time. That's all we can do with this is, we continue to practice our protocols, washing hands, social distancing, all that kind of thing. But listen, as we start off our show, we'll always continue to do so right now in this time. Obviously, want to thank our first responders and healthcare workers. These folks, look, we could easily, we do this every day. We've been doing it for quite some time. We could easily just say, hey, look, you guys get it. But we really do thank these folks and what they do. Talking with a couple of them yesterday. And remember, I have family and friends that are a part of, a lot of walks of these when you're talking about first responders and healthcare workers, talking just to see how things are going. Because, sometimes people just need to talk. Understand that. And these folks are so happy that they can help. I mean, this is, you sign up for it, but at the same time, you never know what's going to happen. And hearing some stories of what goes on behind the scenes, I'm glad that I don't know everything. Some of the things that they say, I'm like, all right, that's enough. But, look, these folks are working hard each and every day to listen to the show. The ones that are listening, thank you so much. Talking to a couple healthcare workers the other day that tune in and appreciate it. Look, hopefully we can bring you some football news here, some sports news of what's going on around. I know that, their lives are already stressful enough. So once again, we thank them so much, all of our first responders and healthcare workers. Like I said, there's so much unrest in our country overall with everything going on. But we are blessed to live in a community that has great police officers, firefighters, EMT personnel, nurses, doctors, all those folks. We thank them. We support them wholeheartedly. So, look, we have a ton to get to today. As we always will say this real quick, grocery store employees, truck drivers, we thank you guys as well. All right, you guys deserve a thanks of what you've been put through. And remember, folks, I will say this. I saw it yesterday, people getting a little aggravated with some protocols. Understand they don't want to follow these protocols any more than you do. It's not just, they're not doing it to aggravate you. They're doing it to protect everybody. They want things to be normal as well. So just take a little extra time if you're going out and about. Throw a mask on if you can, and let's get through this thing. But, look, we have a ton of football to talk about today. First things first, though. Coach, how are you doing today?
Doing well, JP. Good to be with you.
Absolutely, Coach. You know what? And I know, of course, we got Pete Shinnick, the head coach of our national champion-winning UWF Argos, going to join us at 12:15. Going to be really good to hear from him. Look, understandably, Division II and III, remember that they canceled their championships. So I believe UWF has until Tuesday is when the Gulf South Conference is going to make their decision whether they'll play the season or not. And understand, no matter what they decide to do, it's going to be tough. Obviously, they want to play football, but it has to make sense. They have to be able to put people in the right situations. They have to be able to protect them correctly and everything. And understand that you have to have the money to do this. And for some programs, they may not be able to do that. So I'm not going to say whether they're going to do it or not. We'll talk to Coach Shinnick about that, but people need to understand that as well. It's nothing like Division I when you're talking about some of these other schools. And remember, some of these Group of 5 schools, they're going to be struggling to get through as well. So going to be really good to hear from him. But, Coach, I'm going to jump into this because, look, if you're an FSU fan, you're just itching to get football back. Obviously, with everything that's going on with Mike Norvell, the offseason you've had, you got to be happy. You really do with what's been going on. The way Norvell has handled everything has been fantastic. The recruiting, how they're jumping up in the recruiting now for 2021. Things seem like they're somewhat getting back to normal in Tallahassee, getting back to maybe where you get back to those glory days, the Bobby Bowden days, and I guess you could say the Jimbo Fisher days, depending on how you feel about Jimbo, but nonetheless, you got a championship with him. But when you look at this, Coach, I thought this was awesome. Florida State defensive tackle Marvin Wilson, Big Marv. This guy is the real deal. Anybody that, if you don't know Florida State football, you probably know Marvin Wilson because he is a beast down there in the trenches. He come out, and of course, he's been one of the most outspoken voices when it comes to social justice issues during the offseason. Remember, he's the one that kind of stirred up this whole thing when Norvell said, well, I've talked to my team, and he's like, no, you didn't. You didn't say anything to us. And everything was resolved. Now, whether you agree with the way he handled it or not, I thought Norvell handled it great. All the players handled it great. They said, look, we just wanted to communicate. So everything's back to normal, it seems. But he came and he was talking about what's going on in the Big Ten and the Pac-12. He was asked about it. And he come out and said, listen, I didn't come back to sit out and just go prepare for the league. Of course, he said that's taking the easy way out. For me personally, I feel like I have work to do here in Tallahassee. Now, he went on to talk about, obviously, if you're protesting and sitting out because you don't get what you want, he just doesn't feel that that's the right thing to do. Now, he respects everybody else's decision and what they're doing, but that's just not the way he is. He feels that, look, he is here to come back and win some football games. And once again, I think it's a great thing. We're hearing from these players, and that's the one thing I always say, Coach. I don't want to hear from the media what the media believes. I want to hear what these players and coaches say because these are the guys that are going through this. They're there day in and day out. They're in they're in facilities. They're in the coaching offices and things like this, the meeting rooms. They know what's going on, and they believe, by the way, Tamarian Terry, the superstar receiver that's coming back, said, look, I'm not opting out. We're not opting out. We're here to win football games. Let's get this going. They're ready to go as well. So, and they also go on to say, by the way, just want to throw this out there for people, that the protocols that are in place that Florida State has done so far has been phenomenal, that they are being taken care of, and they're really proud to see that. So, Coach, when you look at Florida State, I think, first off, you can't have unrest in a locker room because obviously things can reach out to the field there. But I really think this is a great move for Marvin Wilson to come out, to Tamarian Terry to come out and say, listen, I'm not opting out. We're here to win football games, and that's our mindset this year. If you're a Florida State fan, you got to love this.
Yeah, I think what we've said repeatedly, Norvell has just done an outstanding job coming into a program that was totally decimated. I mean, it was bare desert down there, left in shambles, and more problems than you might know on the surface. There were some internal problems that looked to be something that was going to take maybe 2 or 3 years to clean up. He's done a great job. He salvaged recruiting last year, brought in some good recruits when they thought that was going to be a disaster for him. And he's brought some discipline and some excitement into that program down there. And he's just doing a great job. I tell you what, Florida State fans have got a lot to look forward to. They've got to be very pleased right now. But my goodness, what a schedule they've got coming up. They've got to play the 3 toughest teams in the league. That's for sure. And they've got a pretty rough schedule to go through, but they're prepared for it. And I just really think that this is going to be a better than expected year for Florida State.
I really do too, and my father's a Florida State fan, so when I say this, obviously, we followed it for forever. I remember being little and stuff and watching Florida State games as well, going to some of the games. It's awesome. Florida State fans, there's a lot of rich tradition in that, and it's been some tough years, to say the very least. It's been very, very tough like you've never seen before, but you're right. Look, I think with Marvin Wilson and Tamarian Terry, the 2 leaders of this team, let's call it what it is. These guys are leaders on that team. I think them coming out and saying these things is fantastic because guys will follow suit. Let's call it once again. Call it what it is. When you have your leaders in the locker room, typically wherever they go, everyone else will follow. And sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. But I thought it was interesting, too, because, look, Marvin Wilson talking about, finally getting back to the team training at the stadium that they've been waiting so long to do. He said, I feel like anyone to opt out at the last minute outside of, obviously, some family issues or something, when they've worked so hard, he says that would be completely disrespectful, and I know that it would be disrespectful to my teammates. And he just says, look, that's the way he feels, obviously. So, look, once again, Florida State fan, you got to love what you're hearing here. And, the schedule is starting out is not too bad when you got Georgia Tech, Samford, and then Miami, which we'll see what happens in Miami as Gregory Rousseau, their top defensive end there, is going to sit out. But then you got Notre Dame. Then you go back-to-back weeks with Notre Dame and North Carolina. Not to mention you got to play Louisville. That's 3 in a row there. And then later on, obviously, playing Clemson. So it is a rough schedule for them. But you know what? Once again, I think they're just ready to get back on the field and get back after it, as is everybody else with that. But, Coach, jumping over to the SEC quick here, SEC football protocols include mask requirement and 2 tests per week. Our buddy Alex Scarborough reporting on this on ESPN.com. Had him on earlier in the week. Appreciate him coming on with us. But basically, the SEC will require 2 coronavirus tests per week, and coaches will be required to wear a face mask on the sideline at all times during the football games, as the conference announced this morning. This is their initial medical protocols. Now, understand, this is not set in stone for everything. They're still coming up with more things and covering bases here. But as it is right now, if you're not on the field, you need to cover both the nose and the mouth. So they're just throwing that out there for folks. Competing players must wear some type of neck gaiter during timeouts or when conferring with coaches on the sidelines. It can be a little uncomfortable. Some players have said, yeah, it is a little uncomfortable, but you know what? It's something that we're going to have to get used to. Also, players will be tested 6 days and 3 days before a game, meaning tests typically will be placed on Sunday and Wednesday. That goes for soccer and volleyball as well. Obviously, if a positive test, a player will isolate for 10 days and be asymptomatic. But if they have prolonged exposure, it'll lead to a 14-day quarantine. Of course, they'll do it through a third party, and coach, each school will have a COVID-19 protocol oversight officer to ensure compliance. So now we get a little bit into the weeds with this. We're starting to understand of what the SEC is going to do. Of course, a lot of these conferences are, but coach, 2 times a week. For some people that want daily testing, I don't know what to tell you. It's tough. The NFL doesn't, a lot of these places can't do daily testing anyway. But nonetheless, Coach, I like what's been put in place here. For one, now we can see it. For a lot of people, that's what they wanted. They wanted to see what this was. Of course, there'll be people that are not pleased with this, but these are the same people that believe we shouldn't be playing football anyway. But I think overall, if you're not playing, if you're not on the field, or if you're not playing on the field or whatever, you have to have some kind of face covering, and we know how hot that can be down here, but once again, you want to play football, you're going to have to be a little uncomfortable right now. But I love the protocols that are set in place, Coach.
Yeah, I think they've done a good job, and certainly there are going to be some, as you said, there are going to be some people not in favor of anything. It doesn't matter what you do. They could have testing 3 times a day, and it still wouldn't be enough. So forget about those people. They've done a good job of setting up these protocols, and I'm sure if there's any doubt on anyone, there will be follow-up testing immediately to check for false positives and that type of thing. I think what they've put in place here is excellent. Now, what they've got to have is the follow-through, and how do you keep, as we talked about some yesterday, and I think even the day before, how do you keep those players as much as is physically possible, keep them separated from the 20 or 30,000 students on campus and everything that they do, where they live, where they eat, what they eat, who furnishes that food for them, who prepares it, who they come in contact with other than the Tier 1 and Tier 2 people right there on as identified basically by the NFL, which I think is a good way to do it, Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. But then the other thing is you're going to have young men who absolutely thrive on their social interaction with other people. We're going to have to give that up for the most part. They're going to have to give that up for this football season. Those things are going to be most important now that you have these protocols that they can get out to the public and to the press. Now you're going to have some way to not only get compliance from the players, but some way to monitor it. And then what do you do when when these disciplines are broken and just one person has exposed numbers of others. So anyway, I think that's going to be the big thing, and some programs will get it done. And you watch the programs with the most discipline involved, and the best programs will also handle this in a way that they can get through it. The ones that are haphazard and off the cuff and not well organized, they're going to have problems.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot of discipline to get through this season. We know that, and it's a matter of getting that through to the players and the players understanding. If you're serious about playing football, and this is my thing, if you're not serious about it, if you want to go about your business, then go ahead and opt out. Don't ruin it for all your teammates that are working so hard, because we know that a lot of these guys are busting it. We've heard coaches say, "Look, we got lax. Our players had no tested." At Kansas State, for instance, coach said, "Hey, look, we had no positive tests the first time. Our players got lax, went out and about. Then we came back and we had 15 tests positive, and then they realized this thing is real and it's here." So there you go. I mean, look, I know we got to go to a quick break, Coach. We'll talk more about this a little bit later on. The SEC, by the way, pushes back the start of football practices to August 17th. Obviously, they're going to play in late September there. And the SEC will announce the 2 added games to the schedules there for all the conference opponents later today. The schools will find out. That doesn't mean we will find out, but then again, with social media, we might. Who knows? But we are supposed to get that come Monday is when they're thinking about releasing it to the public. So you'll find out who your team, even though we've heard who might play who in this. Hopefully for Florida, they get a better draw than what we were seeing from Feinbaum there. But nonetheless, we'll know by Monday, if not this weekend. So there you go. When we come back from break here, we're going to have our national champion UWF Argos football head coach, Pete Shinnick, join us on the show. Always great to talk to him. Going to get some great insight and maybe some tough decisions ahead for the UWF Argos. We'll talk about all that and more when we come back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
For 30 years, Thomas Home Corporation has proudly helped families build their ultimate dream home. If you're looking to customize your home, we are currently building throughout Escambia, Santa Rosa, and Okaloosa counties, and we can either build your home in one of our subdivisions or even on your own lot. Our team works with you to guide you through each step and decision in the process. Builder of the 2019 American Dream Home and Builder of the Year, Thomas Homes Corporation has built quality homes at an affordable price since 1990. Begin the process today and become one of our proud homeowners at thomashomescorp.com.
The latest news and sports can be heard on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Get the latest news and football on Talk Football with Coach K. Daily sports talk on your drive home on The Sports Drive with Chad Brilliante. And a recap and look ahead of the sports week on Sports Call with Davis and Justin every Saturday. Plus, national sports radio talk on Golick and Wingo, The Dan Lebertard Show with Stu Gotts, and The Paul Feinbaum Show. It all lives on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You can watch Coach K talk football live right now on our YouTube channel at ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Friday afternoon. Looking like a beautiful weekend ahead. And look, as always, we have a special guest here. And you know what? A hometown favorite here. Anybody that's ever met him knows this is a fantastic, not only coach, but human being as well. What a great man to lead our national championship winning UWF Argos football team here. Coach Shinnick joins the show right here. Coach K, I know we got a lot to get to, so I'll go ahead and send it over to you.
Okay, well, Coach, thanks so much for taking the time at a very, very busy time in the history of the whole program out there to take the time to be with us. But there are a lot of people that are wondering what's going on, and I know you don't have the final answer on a number of things that are going to be decided later. I think next Tuesday. But you do have some information that could maybe help us to understand. And let me preface by saying that there's so many of us that are aware, having just won a national championship with most of those players, key players in particular, quarterback and so on, coming back, and some strategic transfers coming in. What a year to look forward to this year. And to have this happen is just beyond the pale. That's just beyond anything we could imagine. And we all have second thoughts about it for you. But at any rate, if you could give us a little update on what's going on, Coach, whether you think you're going to play, what's going on? What's the overall picture right now as you see it?
No, Coach, and JP, I appreciate you guys having me on. And, just as we sit here right now, the feeling is just, heartbrokenness for our team. And we have some seniors that are graduating. We don't know what their future is going to be. They were looking forward to coming back, being the defending national champs, and having the opportunity to go prove that they're one of the best teams in the country again in 2020. So, with the NCAA's decision to say there will be no Division II championships, meaning if you play this year, you don't have an opportunity to represent on a national level, it really throws our Gulf South Conference, into a decision as to, all right, what's best for our student athletes, what's best for the welfare of our institutions. But beyond that, Coach, I mean, the NCAA really has put together, they're not guidelines, they're really regulations that have to be followed. And it really puts a lot of pressure on the lower level institutions. And I'm talking everybody who's not a Power Five. I really believe what has come out in the last, 10 days, and they went from guidelines to regulations to now mandatory. I really believe what has come out that it's just very difficult to say, yes, we can follow that and still feel good about, what we're doing. And, this whole process, everything that we've done, we've started summer workouts, conditioning workouts with our strength coach. We have followed CDC guidelines. We have met what the state requires, what our university requires, what the city of Pensacola requires. And, we felt like we were moving in the right direction, but it's just become obviously very, very difficult. And I think ultimately, Coach, that's what's going to make this decision for everybody.
Well, I understand totally. I've said for a long time, Coach, that the big boys, the NFL is going to play, and the Power Five conferences. I'm not sure about the Pac-12 out on the left coast out there. I'm not sure about them, but the others are going to play, and they'll find a way to do it. But it's going to take quite a bit of money to get it done. It's a good barometer is the NFL on testing just in camp, training camp, over $75 million just for tests in training camp. That's a big burden to carry. Now you go to college football, and how many places, how many teams have the wherewithal to withstand that type of drain on their finances before they can even play the game? So it's a very, very rough situation we're aware of. What do you hear? Let's jump to that's a very good overview on the medium mid majors to smaller schools. But what are you hearing about the Power Five conferences and where you see them headed at this point, Coach?
Yeah, Coach, I see Power Five exactly what you just said. They're going to push through just like the NFL. They're going to find the resources to keep the television money, to keep that contract, to be able to make that go. They'll find ways to make up the concession money, even though it's going to be difficult. I just feel like the Group of Five and FCS, I believe they're going to be in a similar situation as Division II and Division III, just because of the regulations and the stipulations that are going to be put in place. We have set a standard, and before our guys could lift in our weight room, they were required to have a negative test every day that they show up. We're doing a temperature check. They're filling out a questionnaire about how they feel and any symptoms or anybody that they've been around. We have socially distanced the entire time. And Coach, we've worked out with masks. So we've complied with every guideline. But now when you start talking about, testing at the multiple times that the NCAA is asking, it just becomes very difficult. And again, we believe we're providing a safer environment than most places. But like you said, I had not heard the $75 million for 32 teams, but it doesn't surprise me because I know for 3 weeks they're testing everybody every day. That was part of that labor agreement. Again, these tests, if you want them back quickly, you're paying a pretty penny to get them.
Yeah, that's for sure. Let me a jump to one other hypothetical to a hypothetical situation. Now, you just explained how the NCAA has levied all these stipulations on Division II, Division III football. Where do you think the NCAA is headed? And when I say that, I mean, is there really any respect for our future for the NCAA, the way they've handled or haven't handled, maybe more appropriate, business in the last 4, 5, 6 years especially? I think the Power Five, they could care less about the NCAA. And what the NCAA says doesn't even register on the radar with them. And they're very soon to break away. Where do you see the NCAA with regard to the entirety of college athletics?
Well, yeah, and I think, Coach, it's a great debate, and I think you're going to see things come into fruition here over the course of the next 3 months. And there was rumors 5 to 10 years ago of the top 65, breaking away, forming their own deal. This might be the exact time that takes place. And then I think you'll look at an interesting restructuring if that happens. There's really, in the Pac-12, and you mentioned it, those guys, their players came out with these demands of money and all this. I don't think the average student athlete understands how much money is actually spent. They see what, is, earned, but I don't think they realize how expensive it is to just get on a plane and go stay in a really nice hotel and eat those meals and do all that. I mean, there's a lot of money being spent on these programs. And I think with these added demands that are being put on, like we said earlier, I think the only group that can do it is the group that sustains itself, and that's the Power Five. And, you and I have talked about this in the past and, about them breaking away and what does it look like. If it's going to happen, my opinion, this is the perfect avenue for them to do that and just say, hey, we're coming up with our own regulations. We'll pay our players. We'll do whatever. And it's going to leave the rest of everybody else, all of us, in really a different world and I think a different NCAA. And, unfortunately, with everything that's taking place, I see that happening sooner rather than later. I really felt like in my coaching career that wouldn't happen once we got through that last push, like I said, about 5-10 years ago. But now with the way everything's going, with what COVID has done and what is happening, with these institutions, I see that happening probably quickly. And then I think it's a scramble to figure out what's the rest of it look like.
I totally agree with you. I told you I wouldn't keep you on that long, and I'm going to let you go, but I have to make one other remark here and get your response on it. I think people would be shocked, those that are listening to this program right now, and thousands of others would be absolutely shocked to fully understand how many schools, how many major college teams now are in the black financially. Most of them are in the red. I'm talking about big-time college football. So few of them operate in the black. It's really astounding. And that financial edge is there, and all you have to do is talk to somebody like Bill Carr, who's in on all of that with presidents and athletic directors and the financial people involved, and it's scary. And then for students, athletes to think that there's all this big pile of money out there, they're doing the best they can to keep all this afloat for them, to have a chance to play football, basketball, baseball, whatever, and have the extracurricular activities that schools prepare for each and every student, including the Title IX, which is tremendously expensive. So people don't understand that. But I'm telling you, there are a lot of schools that are just hanging on by the skin of their teeth as to whether they're going to be financially in the black or not.
Well, I think you've already seen it, and I don't know the number offhand, but you've already seen it across the landscape of programs being cut. And Boise State cut their baseball program, then cut their swimming program. You've seen other institutions that you would think are thriving institutions doing well, but yet here we are. We have one spring and now possibly a fall where things don't go according to plan, and now they're dropping programs. And I think if the average person could get a look at the spreadsheet, of what these institutions are paying and what it looks like, they'd have a different view as to where all this money goes. It's one of the things that I really enjoy about Division II. We have 120 guys on our roster. The majority of them are paying some sort of money to the institution to go to school here. They're contributing, through this process. We are giving guys scholarships, but I don't have a guy on my program that, their scholarship is 100% paid by the football team. They're getting money from other places. They're getting Bright Future Scholarship. They're getting academic scholarships from the university. They're getting Pell Grant. They're getting different aspects to fill that void. And so, our setup and Division II is completely different, really, than, these other programs. And when you look at and I don't think, I don't think these universities are mismanaging for the most part how they're doing it. They're just trying to provide their student athletes with a great experience. And, my concern, and again, the Pac-12 players came out asking for a financial piece. They've got a guy kind of in charge of that that's been asking for that for a long time. I just don't think they completely understand the whole picture. And at most, Power 5 and, Group of 5 programs, the only two programs that are really making money for the university are football and men's basketball. Every other one the university is basically supporting, which is coming from that NCAA tournament money and that football, network money. So you're right, Coach. I mean, if people were to sit down and see it, and I know most 18 to 22-year-olds don't get it. They're like, oh, well, hey, this guy's making this much money. This guy's making this. Where's mine? And when you start breaking it down, you realize, that these universities are providing a tremendous amount for all these student athletes. They're in some of the most incredible environments possible. You see the facilities that are being built. You see the upgrades that are taking place. You see the fan support that's happening. Having been a former college student who was on scholarship, three brothers who had the same opportunity, we felt like we were blessed to have that opportunity. And the fact that, thousands of people came and cheered us on, felt great about that. But I think, having a dad who was in the profession and understanding the nuts and bolts of, where all that money goes, I think I had a better understanding than most people of how difficult this is. And then, again, how grateful you are just to have that opportunity to get your education paid for and have a dorm room to sleep in and have meals to eat. So there's a lot to it. And as you say, it is, the average person doesn't grasp it. I hope and pray that, we find a way through this and, these institutions can move forward from this. But obviously not playing is going to affect a lot of people.
Couldn't agree with you more. Well stated, Coach. Listen, I apologize for keeping you on a little longer than we said, but we wish you the very, very best. And I just hope that we're going to be able to see some UWF football this fall, especially with the team that you put together, assembled it, the work that you put in to get to this point. I hope we can see it on the field this year. Stay in touch with us if you will.
Well, no, Coach, I do too. I do too. We feel like we got a great team. We really do. And you and I have talked about some of the transfers that we've gotten in and some of the people we felt like 2020 was going to be a fantastic year. Coach, I'll come on next week once we know for sure if you want to or whatever you need. Again, I appreciate you promoting our program the way you do and appreciated talking to you and JP today.
Listen, let's make a date next week just after you've had your meetings. You get the final word from the conference and so on. So that probably would be Wednesday, would it not?
Yeah, theoretically, yeah. So, I mean, if that works, let's go ahead and set it up, and we'll make this thing go.
Let's set it up for next Wednesday then. Okay, thanks so much, Coach. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you, guys.
And that's UWF head coach Pete Shinnick right there of our national championship Argos. Obviously, we'll see what happens. Tuesday is the deadline there of when the Gulf South Conference will make their decision. So we'll see what happens nonetheless. Listen, we'll talk more about what Coach Shinnick had to say when we come back from the break here, as well as, look, Michigan's Jim Harbaugh and Ohio State's Ryan Day. If you haven't heard, traded some jabs during a coach's call yesterday. If you're an Ohio State fan, you got to love this. And Tom Brady talking about learning a new playbook is actually kind of tough. Listen, Tom, you got 6 rings. I don't want to hear any of that. But we'll talk about all that and more when we come back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro Shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range, Highway 29 in Car City.
Hey, what's up? Chad here from the Sports Drive. Well, we're into August, that first time that we start to feel the flow for football season.
Football.
Like getting ready to run out of the tunnel to a song like Enter Sandman. Might be a little different this year. Probably no smoke, social distance away from the people, as you might get cheered on by virtual fans.
You can do it!
But overall, we're excited, and we'll keep you posted with the latest updates from high school, college, and the NFL. Join myself, Chad Brillante, and JP right here on the Sports Drive, 5 to 7 on ESPN Pensacola.
For your ridiculous facts, I'm JP. Legendary Browns running back Jim Brown is undoubtedly one of the greatest players in NFL history, as his Hall of Fame football career is impressive enough on its own, but Brown is also considered to be the greatest to ever play the game of lacrosse. He played collegiate football and lacrosse at Syracuse. And if you need a pick-me-up, in 1989, minor leaguer Tim Fortugno was traded for $2,500 and 144 baseballs. I mean, baseballs are kind of expensive, right? That's your ridiculous facts. I'm JP.
Hey, this is Chad Brillante from the Afternoon Sports Drive, and you're listening to Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you, alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Friday afternoon. Weekend's right around the corner. We're excited for it as well. Look, we're getting sports back little by little here, obviously. But, Coach, appreciate Coach Shinnick coming on, as always. What a great interview. And you know what? Like he said, it's tough. It's with the NCAA canceling Division II national championship, or the championships there, it just makes it really tough on the Gulf South Conference. But you know what? We'll see what happens come Tuesday. But I thought, look, we always get some good takes from Coach Shinnick, and he is a man that has been around the game ever since, with his father and everything as well, and his coaching endeavors he's had, from a player to a coach and everything. He is very insightful, and he sees things for what they are. Understand that. He is a very passionate human being. He is a very caring human being, and that's why these players flock to him. That's why you get all these Division I transfers over here, and people can say, well, yeah, it's because you won a national championship. Well, why do you think these guys sell out for this guy? I mean, we've seen players that go after coaches. These players can't wait to get near him. I just want to be a part of anything that he touches, and there's a reason for that. Coach Shinnick is a very special man right there, and that coaching staff that he has built there has done a fantastic job as well. So, Coach, what I thought was awesome, though, was the way he put it, because when you talk about the money, that's obviously something going on in college football. That is a big-ticket item, is these players want to get paid. We're hearing even players from the University of Florida and stuff like this that are rumored right now, they're like, well, why are we going to go out there and play when all these other people are soaking in the rewards? They're getting all the benefits here to this. And people, like Coach Shinnick, what he just said is what you've been talking about for quite some time. These players maybe just need to be educated and sit down and be like, hey, look, this is where the money goes. This is what's here. This is, you see millions of dollars being brought in, but where does that money go? And show them. I think because when you really break it down, it's not as much money as you thought when it's all said and done. And I thought it was great that he talked about they're trying to give these players the greatest experience they can. Because, I mean, take all these facilities away, take a lot of the meals away, make the players, when you go on a road, make them pay for their plane ticket and things like this. I mean, there's so many things that are involved in this. And then let's see where we're at. I mean, let's see how much you enjoy that. It's not just, hey, the university made $40-50 million this year. Okay, where does that $40 and $50 million go? So I thought he did a great job of kind of explaining all that to the best of his ability. I just thought it was great to hear that.
Well, absolutely. I think it's a shame that more people aren't aware. In fact, there's some people that you try to explain that to them, they would laugh at you and think you're pulling their leg. No, it's true. It is very true. And it's a sad situation. I can assure you that there's some big schools right now that are not in the red, and they're going to be a lot more after this season. They're going to be lucky just to keep their head slightly above water. I don't know that they can this year, but what they got to be doing is holding on and hoping for back to normal next year. But it's tough, I'm telling you. And what they pay for is not just what happens in that particular sport, like football. Football is responsible for paying for all the Title IX issues which they're compelled to pay for, or the school is compelled to offer because of legislation. I mean, it's a law. They have to do it, and people don't understand that. So the money's got to come from somewhere. All those, especially women's sports, all those different teams that they have. And what about swimming? And what about golf? And what about, very few schools does baseball even come close to breaking even. So it's amazing. And then when you say something about the value of an education and what they're being given in the way of accommodations and food and books and tutors and all of that, a lot of these kids laugh at you like you're a dinosaur. Who cares about that? All they care about is the money. There's money being made, and somebody has told them or told the world that players deserve to get the money. Listen, these programs are there, and look what they're making available to all these people. I'll tell you, I couldn't have done it without a scholarship. No way. And again, I'm a dinosaur, and I understand that. But I think a lot of people should better understand the financial demographics as it pertains to major college athletics.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Coach, where and I was raised differently than everybody. I'm not saying I was raised any better than anybody else. I just want to make that clear. But the way that I was raised, when you demand something, that is obviously demanding something is out of disrespect. There are ways to go about it. When you put out here, this is our demands. We demand you do this. We demand you do that. You have pushed yourself past a point of trying to reconcile with someone. You've got it to the very end there, and that's where I don't like this. I don't like when the demands are this, and these are our demands. Either do it or we're not playing, and that's shameful. I mean, in my opinion, with what you guys have said from Coach Shinnick to yourself, there's so much more that meets the eye than what the media puts out there. Remember, the media doesn't want to get into the nuts and bolts like Coach Shinnick was talking about. They don't want to talk about that. They want to say the players want this. Hey, look, and then people come on, and it's easy for people to come out and say, yeah, these players don't get paid. Yeah, let's pay them. These universities are making $50 million a year. Let's pay them. What's the big deal here? That's people that are uneducated when it comes down to the financial aspect of things. And look, I've said it. I'm not for it. And I played at UWF. I wasn't on a full scholarship when I got there. That's the reason I transferred over to University of Mobile, because I got full paid scholarship. I didn't pay a dime over there, and I was taken care of both places I went. And I'm much like Coach Shinnick and yourself. I was blessed to get an opportunity to play the game, period. And look, the way that I was taken care of, everything that I got, I'm still to this day so happy, and I will do anything for both those universities to represent them, because just the way that I was treated and the experience he talks about, my experience was great. I mean, it was really great. So, look, with that being said, Coach, I do want to stay on the college football side of things before we go to break here. Michigan's Jim Harbaugh and Ohio State's Ryan Day obviously trading jabs during a coach's call here. These guys were on a Big Ten coach's call, and apparently, Michigan's Jim Harbaugh interrupted Ohio State's Ryan Day during the call that alleged Ohio State assistant Al Washington violated NCAA rules by working out with linebackers before coaches are permitted to do on-field instruction today. And basically, Ryan Day was not happy, and he said, hey, how about I worry about my team and you worry about yours? Obviously, that didn't sit too well with either team there. And later on, it was reported by a bunch of the players and some other folks on a university website there that Ryan Day told his team that he hopes a mercy rule is in place because we're going to hang 100 on Michigan when the two teams meet. And obviously they meet October 24th, Coach. Harbaugh is 0-5 in his career, by the way, with against Ohio State, and that's one of the reasons he was brought in there to turn that program around. But look, I mean, that's some bulletin board material if you're Michigan. But Coach, I really believe, when you talk about what Harbaugh's done there, he's a good coach. I'll give him that. But at the same time, you're brought in there to do one thing, and that's beat Ohio State, and he hasn't really come close. So, Coach, what do you make of this whole squabble between these guys, and what do you think about Ohio State, Michigan this year? I mean, is this the year Michigan could overtake Ohio State?
Well, it's a big, big rivalry. We all know that, and it's even bigger than most understand. It rivals the Auburn-Alabama team, so that gives you an idea. I think the bottom line is that Harbaugh has not performed to the extent that he was brought in to perform. Now, anybody that says differently, I think they're kidding themselves, because that's the bottom line, and he's going to have to find some way not only to beat Ohio State, because that's the barometer for success at Michigan, but to get Michigan in position some way, somehow, to get into playoffs and win a national championship. Nothing less is expected, I can assure you, at Michigan than to realize some way, somehow, they're good enough to play for a national championship. So having said that, I think it's very evident that he's frustrated. He knows that he's on a short leash at Michigan, but some of it because of his personality as well. So that's the bottom line. That's where we are. And he's I'm not totally surprised at what he may have said, but he certainly has given them bulletin board ammo as well as other that won't look good to the people at Michigan who make the decision on the coach.
Yeah, you're right. And the only time I've been around Harbaugh was when I was still coaching, and we had players we took out of that camp. Obviously, that he took his shirt off and was out there playing a 7-on-7 with them. And Harbaugh is the guy when there's cameras around. This is what I take from it now, and from hearing other people talk about him. When the camera's around, he's all about it. It's a very media-driven person. He understands that media is what these kids are on nowadays, and we've seen him. When things don't go his way, he doesn't want to talk to media. So you can't have it both ways. I mean, but it is what it is. I agree with you, though. He's underperformed from what was expected of him. I really don't see with that team they got coming back this year. They got a good team, obviously. It's Michigan. They do a good job over there. But Ohio State is ramped up and ready to go. I mean, they are in this kind of thing right here. This doesn't really change anything, obviously, but it doesn't help. So Ohio State fans, you got to like that out of Ryan Day, basically calling him out. But for Harbaugh, we'll see what happens. I agree with you. I think he's on a short leash. We'll see. Who the heck knows what's going to happen with Harbaugh? That's all we can say about it. But listen, got to take a quick break. When we come back, the Buccaneers, that's weird. The Buccaneers, Tom Brady admits learning a new playbook is actually really tough after 20 years of being in that New England playbook. We'll talk about, get your take on that, Coach, on obviously what Tom Brady said, but what he truly means by that. All that and more when we come back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck, Bentley. That was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
Hear ye, hear ye. I bringeth thee a message from... a message from the king and his new trumpeter, Stephen. The king wishes me to convey his favor to thine team and thine tailgate. Not yet. He invites thee to let the Bud Light flow forth. And he also wishes me to tell thee that he toasts thee. Waiteth until the end, Stephen! With game day's favorite light lager and the slogan of his kingdom... Oh, Dilly Dilly. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, AB, St. Louis, Missouri.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach K. Stevenson on this Friday afternoon. Thanks again to Coach Shinnick for our national champion UWF Argos joining us on the show here earlier. Look, Coach, get back into this, obviously. A few minutes left. Buccaneers Tom Brady admits learning a new playbook is really tough. He said, look, it's been different having the opportunity over this time to move on. For example, study my playbook. I mean, I really haven't had to do that in 19 to 20 years, so you forget. Man, that's really tough. Like all the different terminologies are going back a very long time in my career to really have to put the mental energy in like I did. I have to work at it pretty hard physically still. I put a lot of time and energy into making sure I'm feeling good in order to perform my best. But mentally, I think that's been the thing that's obviously had its challenges. Coach, what do you make of Tom Brady talking about right there, obviously his comments on learning a new playbook? And I'll be honest with you, I can't imagine having to learn a new playbook, obviously going after 19 to 20 years. But what do you make of it?
Well, this is not a big deal. You know, it's amazing how I hear on television too, commentators saying, "Oh, well, how is this going to work?" Because Bruce Arians and that football team was built to throw the ball down the field, and Brady likes to throw it short, intermediate routes. And how is this going to work? They don't know what the yin yang they're talking about. This is going to be a combination of both. Now, here's common sense. If you had a language, had all of your 50 players, let's say 30 on offense, and they're all speaking that language, and you got one guy coming in who's smart enough to pick that up and more and add whatever he wants to add into it, and one guy is learning a different language, if you will, as opposed to 30 having to learn it, what are you going to do? And what would Brady want to do? Brady's going to do that. He certainly does not want 30 people having to learn his language. He's going to apply what he wants to have done, how he wants routes run, patterns, the philosophy of patterns and so on. And he'll get down the field. Yeah, he's finally got some people who can get down the field. Keep in mind, he's had nobody who could take the top off. All of his receivers, even when he had Gronkowski and the little guy at the slot receiver position, and a back. That's been basically his passing game: a back, a tight end, and a slot receiver. Now he's got some big guys who can run and get down the field. When it's appropriate, he'll get the ball down the field. But in the meantime, that's going to also open up the ability to keep the ball, keep the chains moving, and keep that defense on the sideline so they can be better when they come back in. The whole thing fits together like a puzzle, and believe me, that's not going to be a problem. Brady's going to be the offensive coordinator. There's no question about that. You can put that one down in the book. It's done.
Yeah, I agree with you, Coach. I think Tom Brady, it's going to be really fun to watch him play some football this year with the weapons that he's got. Going back to remember, even you're talking about Julian Edelman and those guys outside of Gronkowski and Edelman. You had Chris Hogan, guys like that. I mean, so yeah, look, it's going to be different. And you're right, those folks have no idea what they're talking about. But the playbook, look, Tom Brady's going to be fine. He's been fine for quite some time now, and if anything, he'll be better this year. But, Coach, that sound means it's time for us to go. As usual, we didn't get to everything we wanted to. Appreciate Coach Sinnott coming on. But, nonetheless, it's been a pleasure, Coach.
You bet. You bet. Have a good weekend to everybody out there.
Absolutely. You too, Coach. And like Coach said, look, you guys have a good weekend. Stay safe out there. Remember, throw a mask on if you can, obviously. Not trying to make a political statement in all this, but be safe. And, look, we'll be back Monday, same time, talking some football with you right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
Second PGA Championship, second round today. China's Li Haotong holds the lead right now at 8 under par. 3 shots ahead of Jason Day, Brendan Todd, and Tommy Fleetwood. Live coverage right now on ESPN+. Another positive COVID-19 test for a Cardinals player. Tonight's Cubs-Cardinals game in St. Louis is postponed. No word yet on the rest of the weekend series. The plans for college football this year are still very much in doubt, and ESPN's Mark Schlabach says there could be an impact next year as well.
Hopefully we don't see a trend moving forward post-COVID where guys just skip their junior seasons and prepare for the NFL draft, and they're still 3 years removed from their high school graduation, so would thus be eligible.
In the SEC, coaches will have to wear a face covering on the sideline at all times during games and be tested twice a week. The Big Sky Conference hopes to play an 8-game conference football schedule in the spring. With at least 7 FCS conferences not playing in the fall, the FCS playoffs are in limbo. Former FSU basketball center Michael
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin. Mornings, coming August 17th to the all-new ESPN Radio.
Welcome back. First Take, Your Take. Peter Burns in for Mr. Jason Fitz. The show is always presented by Progressive Insurance, and guests join us via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. We're going to be joined by ESPN MLB insider Jesse Rogers. And big news that the Friday series opener between the Cubbies and the Cardinals has now been postponed after yet another St. Louis player has tested positive for COVID-19. That, according to Major